My brother, who was envious, got together with my fiancée right after we got engaged. I told the entire family about what happened, and now I'm cutting off ties with them. I, a 23-year-old guy, recently got engaged but ended the engagement after just 2 weeks. My fiancé, Riley, who is also 23, got together with my older brother, Adam, who's 27, right after we got engaged. My brother was mean about it, trying to hurt my feelings. Riley and I had been together for almost 3 years, but she chose my brother over me on the night we got engaged. She had seemed excited about marrying me but changed her mind the very next day by getting involved with my brother. I was really upset and ended things with her through a text and blocked her. I also changed the locks on my house to keep her out. We had been living together for a year, and everything seemed great, so I thought it was the right time to propose. I never expected Riley to betray me like this, especially with Adam, who I have a deep rivalry with. My dad passed away when I was a baby, so I don't have many memories of him. Adam, on the other hand, spent time with him, but I don't remember much about my dad because of my age when he died. Adam and I never got along. He was always a bully and seemed to dislike me. My mom, a single parent, had a lot on her plate, like paying bills and putting food on the table. She didn't have much time to deal with our fights. Luckily, our uncle, my dad's brother, was there to help when he could. My mom stayed in touch with my dad's family to keep that connection alive after his death. She didn't want them to lose us kids too. My uncle has been like a father to me since I was young, and I still turn to him for guidance. For Adam, it was our mom who played that role. While she didn't show favorites, it was clear that Adam was her top choice, which fueled our rivalry as I wanted to be her favorite too. Growing up, I struggled a lot. I wasn't good at sports or academics, and I felt insecure because I didn't have any standout talents. I was skinny and not very outgoing, which made it hard to make friends or feel confident around others. I was introverted and spent most of my time alone. Adam was the opposite of me in many ways. He excelled in sports and was decent academically. His physique was also different, strong and athletic, unlike my skinny frame. Being his little brother was tough because I felt constantly compared to him, even though nobody said it out loud. This comparison made me feel like a loser. I learned to live in his shadow and let him dominate. My self-esteem suffered a lot during my childhood, and it never fully recovered. Even in high school, I struggled to make friends and was seen as weird, which made it hard for people to approach me. Things started to improve for me when I finished high school and went to college. It was like a fresh start because nobody knew about my brother Adam there. I became more confident and found my own identity. Going to college out of state made a big difference because I could escape Adam's bullying and be myself. I'm grateful for the opportunity to go to college far away, thanks to my uncle who paid for it. My mom couldn't afford it, and she wanted me to stay closer to home. However, I was determined to go where I wanted, and my uncle supported me. I made good friends and did well academically, graduating as one of the top students in my class. My mom and uncle were there for my graduation, but Adam didn't show up, although I had attended his. After I moved out, Adam and I drifted apart for obvious reasons. He had no reason to hate me, but he did, and I disliked him for making my childhood and teenage years miserable. I was relieved to be away from him, and we only saw each other on holidays or when we visited home for special occasions. That's how it's been for years. We didn't see each other as family beyond our house. However, I did reach out to him and offer support when he lost all his money a couple of years ago. He quit his job to start a business that failed, and my uncle and mom had to help him out since he was deep in debt. He couldn't go back to his old job, so he moved back in with our mom for a while until he got back on track. Even when Adam finally found a job, it wasn't as good as his previous one. He took it to move out of our mom's house because he felt embarrassed to still live there in his 20s. My uncle shared this with me, and it was sad to see how much his life had fallen apart. I reached out to him to offer comfort, but he misunderstood and thought I was mocking him. He blocked me and avoided me during the holidays that followed. Our interactions were never friendly, but at least we used to greet each other. After that message, though, there was no communication. Adam's life didn't improve. He struggled with the failure of his business, and every time I saw him, he seemed to be in a worse state. It's sad to hear how Adam struggled with job changes and his overall demeanor at family events. His appearance and behavior reflected his troubled state of mind, often seen drinking or lost in thought. Despite my past resentment toward him, seeing him in such distress made me feel sorry for him. My uncle tried to engage him in conversations, but Adam seemed disinterested and left early. I started bringing Riley to these gatherings after we'd been together for a while. She was aware of Adam's situation and expressed concern, but there wasn't much we could do. Jumping ahead to our recent engagement, Riley and I attended my uncle's birthday dinner at his place just 2 weeks ago. I made sure to get my uncle's approval before proposing to Riley at his dinner party, and he was fine with it. It was a perfect setting with family around and a beautiful garden at my uncle's house. I even invited Riley's parents, who were going to arrive after the proposal, to keep it a surprise. After the cake was cut and the celebration began, I took Riley outside and asked her to marry me. She said yes, and we returned inside to share the news and celebrate with everyone. I noticed Adam leaving shortly after the announcement, but I didn't dwell on it as I was busy with the festivities, and it wasn't unusual for him to leave family gatherings early. Riley and I had a wonderful evening, and when we got home, she didn't mention anything strange about Adam's behavior, which was unusual because she usually does after family gatherings. We were both tired and a bit drunk, so I fell asleep quickly. However, I woke up around 2 a.m. to use the bathroom and noticed that Riley was still on her phone. When I asked who she was talking to, she said she was sharing the news of our engagement with her friends. It seemed innocent, so I went back to sleep without thinking much of it. 2 days later, while I was at work, I received unexpected texts from Adam, whom I thought had blocked me. He sent screenshots of his conversation with Riley, revealing that they had planned to meet up and hook up, which they did. Their chat started with Adam congratulating Riley on our engagement. She asked why he left the party early, and he explained that he felt uncomfortable being there because we were never close friends. Adam felt it would be inappropriate for him to stay and left to avoid causing any issues for me. This revelation hit me hard and left me feeling betrayed by both Riley and Adam. Adam portrayed himself as unwanted, seeking sympathy from Riley to manipulate her. He made it seem like he left the party because of me, but I wouldn't have minded if he stayed. He played on Riley's emotions and she ended up consoling him, apologizing on our behalf for any discomfort he felt. Adam then started flirting with Riley, saying he couldn't find someone like her and didn't see the point in looking. They made plans to meet, and I later found out Riley went to his place the night after our engagement, claiming she was at a friend's to talk about our engagement. To add to everything, Adam sent me photos of Riley's clothes on his bed, which was deeply upsetting and unexpected. I took the day off and went home immediately after getting his texts. I was crying a lot, but even through my tears, I changed the locks and packed up Riley's things that I could find. I put her belongings in a box and left it outside the door. By the time I finished, it was almost time for Riley to return home. I hadn't seen her since the night before because she said she'd go straight to work from her friend's place, but now I know she went to work from Adam's place. I initially planned to end things face to face, but considering Riley cheated on me the day after getting engaged and then lied about it, I decided it wasn't worth the effort. I texted her, telling her I knew about her and Adam, and that I couldn't continue our relationship. I expressed my disgust and informed her that her belongings were outside for her to collect. I made it clear that I didn't want to see her and blocked her after sending the message. A few minutes after I sent that message, Riley showed up at my door, knocking and pleading for me to let her in. She sounded devastated and kept asking for a chance to explain herself. She admitted to her mistake and begged me to listen to her side of the story. This went on for about half an hour, and it was really tough for me to stay calm and not give in. After trying everything from crying to manipulation and begging, she finally left. To be safe, I waited an hour before opening the door to make sure she wasn't still there. Once I confirmed she had left, I ordered some takeout, had dinner, and tried to sleep. But I was too upset to rest. I wanted to get back at Adam and teach him a lesson, but I couldn't think of anything. After brainstorming for a while, I decided to forward the screenshots to everyone in the family with a message about Adam's betrayal. Then I turned off my phone and went to bed. I didn't have a plan or ask anyone to do anything specific, so whatever action they took was their choice. The family responded with sympathy and said they had blocked Adam and cut him off from everything. Everyone was shocked by Adam's actions and reached out to comfort me, except for my mom. She didn't speak to me for a couple of days after I sent the message, but she visited later looking upset. I knew she wasn't there to console me like the others. She came to talk about my actions. She understood my anger toward Adam, but she felt I shouldn't have made the incident public. Her point was that Adam was already struggling significantly, a grown man with financial difficulties from a failed business and no stable relationships. Despite having flings, nothing lasting came out of it. This was especially saddening considering he was once seen as a promising young man. On the contrary, nobody would have predicted my success today, whether in my career or relationships. My mom believed Adam's actions stemmed from jealousy, a sentiment I already understood. Given your work in architecture and your success, it's clear you've worked hard to achieve your position. If Adam had taken the time to research his business properly instead of rushing into it, his situation might be different. Regarding your mother's conversation, it may have felt like she was justifying Adam's actions. You interrupted her to ask if she was trying to make it seem acceptable for Adam to hook up with your fiancé simply because he was going through a tough time. She paused for a moment and then mentioned that while his actions weren't acceptable, I should try to understand his perspective and show some sympathy and forgiveness. She explained that Adam was deeply affected by the family cutting ties with him and felt miserable. Family gatherings were his only solace as he was embarrassed around his more successful friends and had lost touch with them, leaving family as his only support. You were content with Adam's misery, considering he had caused you and Riley so much pain. You had no sympathy left for him. However, your mother thought differently. She believed you should be the bigger person, talk to the family, and encourage them to give Adam another chance. Additionally, she wanted you to reconcile with Adam and resolve the situation. You firmly rejected this idea, stating you had no intention of reaching out to someone who intentionally sabotaged your relationship. You snapped at your mother, expressing your frustration about her favoritism, even though it wasn't overt. You felt she was downplaying Adam's actions and making you feel awful. You pointed out that if the situation were reversed, she would likely react differently, and you knew this from experience. This led to a heated argument, and she left, stating she wouldn't talk to you until you tried to reconcile with Adam. It's been a few days since the argument, and my relatives have been checking in on me. My uncle has been texting me daily, offering support. Riley also messages me occasionally, hoping for reconciliation, but I haven't responded yet. I haven't blocked her either, but I know I should and will do so soon. The only person I haven't heard from since our fight is my mother, and I feel bad about it. I've mentioned before that my brother seems to be my mom's favorite, and they've always had a close bond, even when I was young. However, my mom never showed favoritism until now, and it's confusing. I value her in my life, although I disagree with her views on Adam and Riley. What are your thoughts on me sharing proof of my brother and fiancé cheating? Update 1. Thank you all for your comments and patience in reading through the post. Your advice has been invaluable, and it's reassuring to know that I'm not in the wrong despite my mother's comments making me feel otherwise. I don't feel the need to reach out to anyone based on your feedback. I also confided in my uncle about my mom's remarks. It was a personal matter that I hadn't shared earlier, but I felt better discussing it with him since he's family. He acknowledged my mother's favoritism towards Adam as well. It wasn't always obvious, but there was a clear favoritism towards Adam that anyone could see. My uncle felt terrible about what happened with Riley because he knew how much I cared for her, yet she didn't hesitate to be with Adam despite our relationship. It's upsetting, but I'm somewhat okay since I feel like I dodged a bullet there. I haven't fully moved on from her, but I believe I'll get there eventually. However, my main concern is my relationship with my mother. If she continues to defend Adam and victimize him, I don't see how we can reconcile. My uncle advised me to give up on it, as he knows my mother well and believes she won't back down if she thinks she's right. He advised me not to expect my mother to come around and talk to me because she's been visiting Adam almost daily since our family cut ties with him. It hurt to see her prioritizing him, especially since I lost an important relationship because of him. However, I can't change the situation, so I have to accept it. My uncle taught me to accept things and let go, so that's what I'll do. I tried to reason with my mother, but she's more focused on supporting Adam than acknowledging the truth. That's okay, I'll move on. Update 2. It's been nearly 2 weeks since the breakup with Riley. She texted me almost every other day for a week afterward, but then she stopped, likely realizing that pleading to get back together wasn't effective. I have no interest in hearing her side of the story. Cheating is inexcusable in my book. Yesterday she messaged me about collecting her belongings. This was a more practical conversation than her previous attempts to reconcile. I responded, letting her know she could come today since I was taking the day off. She came by at noon, looking really upset. I could see it in her face. She seemed worn out and didn't meet my gaze once during her visit. I didn't say much either, just let her in and sat quietly as she packed her things. After she finished, she said goodbye, and although I had much on my mind, I simply bid her farewell and returned to my phone. It felt strange, but in a relieving way. It marked the end of any ties with her. I blocked her after she left and decided to enjoy some alone time watching our favorite movie. Still no word from my mother, but I'm gradually getting used to it. It's clear now that my mother would never have supported me in this situation because I'm not Adam. I've realized that no matter what I do for her, it won't be enough, and honestly, I'm tired of trying. My uncle mentioned that he also had a disagreement with her recently while standing up for me, and she didn't take it well, so they're not speaking to each other either. I find it hard to believe that she's willing to risk her relationships with both of us just to defend Adam, even though she knows he's not a good person. It's baffling to me, but if that's what she wants, then so be it. It's been a month since my last update, and looking back, I can't believe I used to worry about my mother's love. I've moved on now and don't care about her opinions. She and my brother are both delusional and selfish, which is probably why they get along so well. It's unfortunate to be related to them. However, I've cut ties with both of them, and I'm grateful for it. They don't deserve someone like me, just as Riley didn't. I was always better than them, and if they couldn't see that, it's their loss. I don't feel guilty about our family cutting them off or not inviting them to events. They're no longer connected to us, and I'm happy about it. Riley and I haven't spoken since she collected her things and I blocked her, along with most of our mutual friends who learned the truth about our breakup. My mother reached out to me recently, but she still doesn't see the need to apologize, which seems absurd. Even in our last conversation, she kept emphasizing how Adam is suffering from clinical depression. I suggested she contact a psychotherapist, but I refused to rally our family to sympathize with him. Then she tried to manipulate me emotionally, mentioning her past losses and not wanting to lose me and Adam over a petty fight about a girl. She thought the fight was trivial, but to me it was about more than just a girl, it was about my fiancé. Adam's deliberate actions with Riley weren't petty, they were hurtful and intentional. I had every right to be upset with him and choose not to have any contact. Our family's decision to cut off Adam and my mother wasn't influenced by me. It was due to their own actions. I made this clear to my mother before blocking her. Now I can focus on moving forward, and they can deal with the consequences of their choices.